All right, thank you very much, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to start with the Glasgow Climate Pact, right? Because I do have an international law background. Paragraph 8 of that Climate Pact speaks about, yes, I need to mention it, speaks about engaging young people, right? And so this means that every state and every intergovernmental organization has a role to play in this, to involve young people. And I'd like to say here that young people, we already have the voice. We don't need a voice. We already have the voice. What we need is the stage. What we need is a platform, right? And allow me, if I may be so bold to say, Mr. President, that one of the reasons why we have the problem we have today is that we have had certain leaders that have not been able to think beyond their own lifetimes. And what this essentially means is that, like the British Council is doing right now, you're consulting with young people. You're setting a legacy for the next generation, right? So, what my point would be on is, how does the present generation of leaders engage with the next generation so that we're better prepared to tackle this climate crisis? One big lesson from COVID-19 pandemic, and I like to say in this way that the biggest pandemic or disaster that we would have would be our failure to invest in knowledge, a failure to invest in systems, and failure to invest in infrastructure. Right, so what are my key solutions? The first one is that now we're doing consultation, which is fine. But how do we move beyond consultation to institutionalizing youth agency and leadership in providing enterprise climate solutions to these key issues? And I give you two case studies to substantiate my argument. The first one is what is done at the UN level. Recently, there was a General Assembly resolution passed, Resolution 76306. It creates a new office for young people, which means that as young people, we already have the voice. I have the voice now, you can hear me, right? But creating a separate office for that can engage from time to time beyond just having a temporary consultation is what we're talking about. I'll also give you an example with the EU. The EU recently launched a youth action plan, which is going to disburse a sum of 50 million euros to support, engage, and empower young people who have specific solutions around climate change. So that is the point about moving beyond consultation to institutionalizing youth agency and leadership. The second one is the fact that governments across countries must begin to think about how do we engage young people in the policy co-creation and co-implementation space. And earlier I gave the example of Singapore, and what essentially happens there is that each government in each country has an NDC. For everyone, for people who do not know, your NDC of your government is what your government seeks to do to achieve net zero ambition, right? So each country has a commitment. It's a commitment, right? So the question is, how do we bring young people on that stage to co-create a policy with the government? And then their projects are being included when these things are being implemented on the ground. So policy co-creation and co-implementation with young people. And then the final one, which goes back to the first one I mentioned, is that we need to build youth capacity. I think you already spoke about that, Mr. President, about, as young people, we need to build knowledge. And I'd like to end with this very simple anecdote. I listened to this one time, someone was talking about a man who was on an island and he went to a restaurant, and right at the front of the restaurant it was written there that, go inside, eat, your father has already paid for it. So the young man was very happy, oh so good, I can go inside and eat and whatever I want. So he was done eating and then they told him, please, this is your bill. And he was like, no, is this a misrepresentation? It's like, we have something outside here that my father already paid. It's like, look, your father already paid for it, but now you have to pay it forward. So the present generation of leaders need to pay it forward for the young people by building our capacity. I already spoke about moving beyond consultation to institutionalization, but also about building capacity and strengthening our capacity to respond to this crisis. Thank you very much.
Great.